Okay, welcome everyone. We are so excited to see such a diversity of participants in this info session. It's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us and for taking the time. My name is Emily Caruso. I am a biologist and an anthropologist, and I have worked in the field of community-based conservation for the past 23 years. And I've been with Global Diversity Foundation, which I will probably call GDF every now and then. We do like our acronyms here, for the past 13 years. So GDF works with change makers, both in long-term field programs in the Global South and in a global program. And we support change makers to build, enhance their impact, grow their partnerships and build their capacities. And the change makers we do work with are often mainly from the fields of environmental and social justice and where those overlap. GDF was created in the year 2000. And in 2012, we launched the Global Environments Network, which basically is what we call our global program. The Global Environments Network gathers around 700 change makers from over 80 countries and invests all of our time and energy in supporting them to, as I said, build their impact and their partnerships and their capacities, their networks, but also really supporting them in deeper ways in the face of the challenging global circumstances many of them, most of them find themselves in. So in the early 2020s, we began having dialogues with some of our members at the time about how we could help them, these specific members who were grassroots conservation practitioners from the Global South, and how we could help them build their organizations, support their communities, and conserve biodiversity, in particular, how they could build their fundraising capacities. And as we would support, having conversations with them and reading up around the sort of fundraising landscape for grassroots conservation practitioners, we learned a lot about the profound inequities in the conservation finance flows from Global North to Global South. And there was a particular report that sort of changed our lives, which was the 2022 Maliasili and Synchronicity Earth report, which is called Greening the Grassroots. And Maliasili did a really important piece of research about these inequities of the funds flowing from the Global North to the Global South. And I corroborated that with other reports that were coming out at the very time. So there was quite a lot of research about the inequity of finance flows in those years. And basically, taking the data from different sources, my assessment is that upward of 90% of conservation funds from Global North to Global South do not go to the grassroots organizations that are doing the work, but to big international NGOs or government agencies. The grassroots organizations who are actually doing conservation work in the field receive only a trickle, and mostly they receive project funds. It's very rare for grassroots organizations to receive core funds, the kind of funds they need to ensure long-term sustainability of their work and of their legitimacy as well. And Maliasili, this report shows that there are barriers both on the donor side to addressing this inequity and on the CSO side, on the grassroots organization side. On the donor side, it's a very slow, difficult process to get philanthropic organizations to change their practices. And that's one area of work that GDF is very interested in, but it's not the focus of the fellowship, because the other side of the coin is the issues that grassroots organizations have to access funds, to access relationships with donors, and to access the kind of training and support they need to grow their organizations and grow their leadership capacities and grow their the quality of their project implementation, project management, monitoring and evaluation, etc. So what the CCF, what the fellowship, the CCF is an acronym for the fellowship, Conservation and Communities Fellowship. What it tries to address is the side of the grassroots organizations. Because we also looked around at the time and noticed a gap in the international training opportunities that specifically address fundraising, grant writing, donor relationships for Global South grassroots organizations. A lot of training opportunities are taken up by people who already have quite a lot of experience and are usually related to big international NGOs. There's not really a space for the grassroots. So what the CCF emphasizes is the importance of mentoring and of leading beyond authority. You'll hear about both of these terms in a couple of minutes when our colleagues talk about them, for building long-term relationships with a broad range of partners, including donors, and for ensuring a sort of sustainable, long-term, and in fact, an impactful team. So the reason we focus on mentoring and leading beyond authority is because they build out leadership capacities very profoundly. But besides those, we also want to attend to key skills in project management, in fundraising, which includes writing high quality grant proposals, and building, confidence around donor relationships, and in managing budgets and in all of the technical capacities that are needed to really take, your organization to the next level. And we also want to offer spaces for dialogue and collective reflection on how grassroots organizations and grassroots advocates can engage in policy and practice and research related to community-based conservation. So we believe that our approach is pretty unique because we focus very much on individual tailored learning for each fellow, and on peer mentoring and peer coaching. So that's kind of where we place ourselves, is like a very strong focus on individual support and on creating a cohort that lasts the test of time, where people are supporting each other, are building these capacities and this approach to life, really, that is based on listening and support for each other. And so I'd like to say a few words on who we're looking for. We'll talk about that a bit later as well, but I'd like to say it now because we did get a lot of questions of eligibility last time, and I'm sure I'm not seeing this go by in the chat. There will be many, many questions of eligibility coming up. And so I would just like to be clear, because I don't think what I don't want to do is to have to answer individual questions of eligibility, because each circumstance is different. But I would like to say this: what we're looking for is leaders from grassroots organizations, so organizations that are operating in the field with communities, and that have grown up from the grassroots. They have a little bit of experience already and are seeking to grow their impact and see their work and their communities become more sustainable in the long term. Many people who are not directly employed by grassroots organizations are wondering whether they can apply. And the answer isn't very straightforward, because it really does work on a case-by-case basis for us. Some people may be employed by government or academia or the private sector, but spend most of their time and energy and love dedicated to community-based organizations. And we will read that in your applications. However, some people work for government and academia or the private sector and maybe are curious about working with community-based organizations, but have no experience or no direct relationship with community-based organizations. It's not likely that your application will be successful if that's the case, because we are looking for those who are committed to the grassroots in their everyday experience and investment of energy. However, we will look at each application on a case-by-case basis. So please do apply if you feel the CCF is for you. But we can't answer questions of, I have an MSc in this and I'm currently working there. Am I eligible? We're not going to answer individual questions like that, because just submit your application and we will find out whether you're eligible. Because we make a decision based on our assessment of the person's experience and commitment to the grassroots. I hope this helps answer some initial questions. Those were the major questions we had last time, were about eligibility. So I've done my little piece. I'd like to hand over to my colleagues. Maybe can we quickly do a round of introductions, and then Aishagul, you can go straight in to talking about Common Purpose's stream in the CCF. But a quick round of introductions, starting with you, Aishagul.
So hello, everyone. My name is Aishagul. And about 15 minutes ago, I hated technology and the internet because it wasn't working right. But now I just love it because, we're all from different parts of the world and we're here together. This is amazing. I'm joining this meeting. I'm based in Istanbul, Turkey. Maybe some of you have been here. And I am the CEO of Common Purpose Turkey. I have been in this role. I've been delivering Common Purpose programs for 17 years. So, Emily, would you like me to talk about Common Purpose a little bit, or is that for later?
Why don't we just quickly do a round so that everyone knows the delivery?
So this is Aishagul from Common Purpose, and hi from Istanbul.
Hi there, my name is Richard Bellars. I am partners in crime with Aishagul when it comes to facilitating this program. I'm a facilitator on behalf of the Human Edge, and very grateful to be here with you all. We have collaborated together before, GDF, Common Purpose, and the Human Edge, and we have a lot of fun working with people like you. I'll hand over to Meryl.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, everyone. Very happy to be here with you all today. I'm a project manager at the Human Edge, originally from Belgium, but based in Spain. And yeah, it's been such a pleasure working on the first cohort. Looking forward to the second one. I'm going to hand over to Becky.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Lovely to see you all. I'm Becky. I'm based in the north of England. I'm in Leeds. And I'm a project manager with Common Purpose. So I work with Aishagul a lot, and I get to work with Richard and Meryl a lot on projects. So
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to meet you all. My name is Rosebel Abwenji, and I am an alum of the CCF Fellowship Program. And so I'm going to take some time today just to share my experience about the fellowship and hopefully answer any questions that you may have. I'm from Kenya, and I'm currently pursuing my master's studies, and I'm also the founder of Jasiri Sustainable Futures. So looking forward to chatting with all of you later on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yusuf Rosdan. I'm from Morocco, and I'm joining you today from Marrakesh. I've been working with GGF for 3 years now as part of the global programs, where, as Emily mentioned, we support community-rooted conservation and social justice efforts. That's more or less an introduction about me. Asim, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Yusuf. And hi, everyone. Lovely to meet you. My name's Asim Sanyal. I'm from India, but I'm currently based on the island nation of Sao Tome and Principe off the western coast of Africa. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of it. I work with Fauna and Flora International and Fundação Príncipe, which is a local conservation NGO. And I had the privilege of being amongst the members of the first cohort of the fellowship. So I'm here today to talk about my experiences. And good luck to all of you. Thanks.
Right, Aishagul.
Okay, so thank you. Hi, me again. All right, as you can see, this academy, this program has 3 partners, and Common Purpose is one of the 3 partners. Maybe you have heard of Common Purpose before from other programs, because we have been around for a long time, since, over 30 years. Common Purpose is an independent, not-for-profit organization, and we've been running leadership development programs since 1989 in over 100 cities, all around the world. And we bring, thousands of people every year from a wide range of backgrounds. So what is our expertise, Common Purpose? We love bringing people together whom under normal circumstances would be less likely to. And we encourage people to join their forces and support each other. We have over 100,000 graduates from our programs all around the world, and we aim to help people become more effective leaders in society, people like you. We help people, we help organizations, sectors, cities, regions to succeed by broadening the horizons of their leaders, because the leaders make the difference. We try to develop their ability to work together. So we're devoted to developing leaders who don't stay in their own little circles, but who can cross boundaries both at work and in society. So that's what Common Purpose does. And a little bit later, I will tell you what our role in this program will be. But now I'll hand over to Richard to talk about how the other partner, the Human Edge, about his organization. Okay?
Sorry, Aisha, sorry. You can talk about your stream now. Go ahead. Talk about
okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's let flow
okay.
straight in.
So Common Purpose is, like I said, one of the main partners, and Leading Beyond Authority. So I can talk about what I will be doing. Okay, as one of the facilitators, I will be facilitating the parts of the program that are related to Leading Beyond Authority and peer coaching. So Leading Beyond Authority is one of the main themes of this program. Now you may be thinking, what do we mean by Leading Beyond Authority? Well, we at Common Purpose, we claim that the world and the problems of humanity have proven that we need a different approach to leadership, okay? An approach to leadership that doesn't necessarily need authority to make things happen. This is an approach that makes people, grant you the authority with their own will. This is an approach that the people in this room, this audience, is actually familiar with. Leading Beyond Authority is what you are already doing. That's why you have joined this session. You're trying to make a difference in your own environment, even if no one asked you to do so, even if you're not required to do it or have the power for it, right? So Leading Beyond Authority is about, rather than saying someone should do something about that, it's saying that needs to change and I will do something about it. So we all know that leadership is much more than position. And in this program, we will go over the skills that we need to be better at Leading Beyond Authority. Now you might be thinking, why do we need different skills to lead beyond authority? Isn't leadership same in every context? You can say leadership is leadership. Well, we all know, and I know, we all know that leadership isn't easy. But leadership beyond your authority is much more difficult. First of all, you don't have the authority. And then there are so many traps that can make you fail. It can be very stressful. Awareness of these traps in advance helps us at times of distress. So we will be talking about the essential, skills you need to be thinking about to be an expert on. In addition to advancing these skills, we also need to support each other. That's one of the aims of this program, because this is a tough journey. And to be able to do that, we need to trust each other and build really strong connections. Together, we hope to build a supporting network that will continue even after the program's over. For this to happen, we added a special component to the program. So we will ask you each to think of a real challenge that you are currently facing and you're having difficulty dealing with. Then we will put you in small groups, and I won't explain how the system works now, but they will be supported, structured peer support sessions. And these sessions will give you the opportunity to learn from each other. And we call these sessions peer coaching sessions. I will explain the details when the time comes. But for now, just know that the peer coaching sessions will play a key role for the program, and hopefully, after it's over, you will continue supporting each other in the same way. So that will be the part that we play as Common Purpose, and I will be the person delivering this. Okay, so now can I hand over to Richard to talk about mentoring, the other main theme that will take place in this program.
Thank you very much, Aisha Gul, and I really encourage you all, if you're not already encouraged, to if you want to come and experience Aisha Gul and her work, because she puts the fun into learning and the fun into leadership, and she's doing it through her own experience in leading beyond authority as well. So she embodies what she teaches. So yeah, that should be incentive enough. To me, and the human edge. So the human edge exists to it's all about mentoring, and it's all about asking what is mentoring and how do we make effective mentoring, how do we make mentoring effective and accessible. The big dream is to support every leader and entrepreneur with a mentor in order to unlock their potential to solve global challenges. Human Edge has been doing this for over 15 years. Started in the Middle East and then through North Africa and Europe, and thanks to GDF, been able to spread its influence even further. So that's what we're doing. And I think another thing, especially given what Aisha Gul was saying about leadership, is we consider mentoring to be have a 360-degree approach, in that it treats the whole person. You know, it's not transactional, it's relational. Okay, and it's treating you as a whole human. You bring your whole self to your leadership and to your work. Okay, so that's a bit on the human edge, and this will be in the slides that we send out to you. If you like to imagine this sort of equation, that what we're focusing on is both raising your potential as an individual and as a leader. So we're raising your potential, and then also helping you to become aware of and reduce the interferences. So interferences being, things that can hold you back from your potential. Interferences, you can probably think of plenty of them, okay? But there will be the external interferences. Yeah, so the things that affect you from the outside. And then there are also the internal interferences, the human ones, the sense of loneliness that Aisha Gul mentioned, sense of isolation as a leader. I'm doing it by myself, feeling burdened, feeling weighed down. So that's common, but also the fears, fear of failure, fear of, being an imposter, these kinds of things. So, imagine what your interference is. Well, a mentor is someone who can walk alongside you, supporting you to release that potential, reduce the interference. You'll probably hear us say a lot, trust the process, but the main thing to do is to engage with it, throw yourself into it, and it makes more sense as, both in the learning and the living of actually going through the experience. I am going to show you one slide just to break down what the mentoring stream is actually taking you through. So Meryl's going to share one slide. And really, as I say, because you'll all have experience of mentoring already, whether it's formally or informal. So we're getting to really refine what it is for you and discerning the differences between what it is and what it isn't. So of those shapes that you can see, the hexagons you can see, it says understanding what is mentoring, understanding relationship. And then, so these are the different modules we'll take you through. Then we practice mentoring, and you give and receive feedback. Then we start to layer in different tools around listening, around asking effective questions. And then the fourth module, more practice. Okay, so you can see the difference in how far you've learned and developed already. We continue to develop your mentoring toolkit in the fifth module, and then the sixth module is all about setting you up for success in your relationships, where you are matched with a peer. We do the matching, and you are matched with a peer for the duration of this mentoring journey together. Okay, so that's what this stream is all about. Thanks, Meryl. You can let that put that one down. And so why are we doing this? Well, in line, I see it as interweaving with what you're doing with the LBA stream, deepening your self-awareness as a leader, and with the mentoring skills yourselves, getting to know models and tools you can use, working on those challenges and interferences, and at the same time, doing this within this peer group. So you're getting exposure to other people's experiences within the conservation sector and learning from each other and with each other. So that's the mentoring stream. I think I now hand over to Emily.
Emily, yeah. And I'd just like to say that I had the absolute privilege of being trained by Aishagul and Richard 4 years ago in mentoring and leading beyond authority, which was part of the seeding the process of wanting to do something with them for other people. So yeah, I can attest to what they're saying about what they're capable of teaching and bringing out in individuals and in the individuals' relationships with their teams. So GDF runs another 2 streams. So there are 4 streams in total, leading beyond authority, mentoring, and then GDF runs the other 2 streams. One of them is a capacity building stream, which focuses on technical skills that, individual grassroots leaders need to really take their leadership up to the next level. We design that based on your applications. So this is where, if you've seen the application form and it says, what are your needs as a leader and what are your challenges as an organization, this is where 100% honesty has to come in, because we use that data to help us design the stream, to sort of see what people are needing. We also use data from a baseline survey that we carry out right at the start of the fellowship. So we sort of combine those 2 data sets and come up with a design. And I'm delighted to say that Asim here, who'll be speaking straight after me, is part of the design team for the capacity building stream, because we have decided this year to bring in the expertise of our fellows to help us design the GDF run streams. So they're being designed, delivered, co-delivered. We're sort of working on it now, how to bring the expertise of the fellows in, because the fellows that we worked with in 2023 and 2024 know best what the needs are of grassroots organizations in the Global South, much more than me, here located in central Italy. I forgot to say where I was located. So this is why we really want to bring them in, because we believe so much in the power of peer-to-peer learning and exchange, and we want to build a community around this fellowship that lasts the test of time, well beyond your individual cohort. Another part of the capacity building stream is the individual mentoring that each fellow receives from myself and a colleague, and probably this year we're going to be bringing in fellows as well as mentors. They've all been trained, so now they have these amazing capacities. And then we also invite all fellows to join clinics that we run monthly for the prior cohort. So after we ended that cohort, we decided to continue to run clinics on proposal writing. So people come with an issue, often they'll send in their proposal that they're struggling with, and a group of us, so mainly me and Susanna, my colleague, who's not here, but because she lives in the US, it's a bit early for her, and other fellows come, and we unravel the problem around this proposal, and we talk about it, and we help them get there on their way. So it'll be about communications, about proposal writing. You're invited to these. They're not formally part of the fellowship, but they're optional spaces, and all of the fellows are invited to join. the other stream that we run is the conservation and community stream. And we actually didn't have this stream last time. It came into being as a result of a groundswell of request from the prior fellowship, where they said, hey, this is called the Conservation and Communities Fellowship, but when are we going to talk about conservation and communities? When are we going to actually talk about the research that's going on, the leading edge, what indigenous-led research, the policy, what's happening in the global policy arena, what's happening in national policy arenas around community-based conservation? How do we evolve our practices? What are the new innovations that are emerging? How can we learn about them? So again, it's going to be a stream that is co-designed with the fellows, and it'll be offering interactive and really practice-based workshops around the big questions, the current, big questions around practice, policy, and research in community-based conservation. So that's the stream number 4. And on that note, I'm going to now leave it up to Asim to give a bit of a taste of what it's like to be a fellow and an alumnus of the CCF. So welcome, Asim.
Thanks, Emily. And hi again, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. So my name's Asim, and as Emily mentioned, I'm alumnus from the previous cohort of the fellowship. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my experiences, but of course, with the caveat that our experiences might be different. As Emily mentioned, we've kind of been involved in making changes, suggesting changes to the fellowship, the current iteration of the fellowship that you guys are going to be part of potentially. And but I mean, let's get to it. So I'm based on Sao Tome, as I mentioned, and I wanted to touch a little bit on that because as Emily mentioned about the assessments of individual applications on a case-by-case basis, this very strongly applied to me because I work for a bigger international NGO, but then I'm seconded to a local conservation NGO, and 100% of my time is like living and working on Principe Island, supporting the local conservation NGO with their capacity building needs, with fundraising, strengthening their organizational structure, and so if you fall kind of into these interstitial areas, I would really strongly encourage you to apply because we do look very strongly at individual backgrounds and needs. So my fellow people on the call, they talked about kind of what the modules were during the fellowship, and yes, we also went through mentoring by the Human Edge. We went through leading beyond authority by Common Purpose, and I just want to say a little bit on the mentorship. I think it's been a very fantastic experience. The kind of peer-to-peer mentorship that resulted from we were kind of eventually categorized. We were separated into like groups, and we had like our peer mentors, and so the first iteration of the fellowship, just for reference, ran from November 2023 to like August 2024. But to this day, I can say that I have such a strong relationship with my peer mentor that we meet like every Sunday and we talk about the various problems that plague us in our organizational work, and we kind of troubleshoot and we support each other, and so it's a very strong component of the fellowship, and it really like extends beyond the scope of the fellowship. And similarly for leading beyond authority, I think it's for me particularly, it's been particularly helpful in kind of navigating relationships with my line managers, my bosses, and trying to bring to the table certain ideas about fundraising that may have been, a bit risque or a bit not really in the line of things. But yeah, it's helped me to like bring my ideas to the table, and it's helped me to navigate these relationships with my superiors. So definitely that's a very strong component as well. And then, as Emily said, we had skills building opportunities. One thing that we did was we had an option to choose certain courses that we could participate in, which were offered by Wild Team. And I participated in the stakeholder engagement for wildlife conservation course, which was very useful for me because in my day-to-day, I end up interacting and engaging with a diverse, representation of stakeholders. And so to like actually be able to navigate how those engagements are and how those engagements and relationships play out in my day-to-day was very, very useful. And then Emily touched upon the technical assistance clinics, which, like were, as she mentioned, tailored to our needs. So, we came in with problems about grant writing or, certain issues like finances or budgeting, etc. So there was like a diverse section of things that we brought in to discuss, and then these clinics were kind of tailored for us to tackle each of these issues at our workplace. And then maybe one or two people brought in specific issues that were bothering them, and those then kind of played out to the larger section of the cohort because we all took away learning from that. And then one thing that was particularly useful to me was the Darwin Initiative proposal writing seminars that we had, which went on for a long time. And actually, so I had been like the recipient of a Darwin grant prior to these seminars, but it was very, very useful to kind of get an insider's perspective because they were delivered by somebody who for a long time sat on the selection committee, like the Darwin Expert Committee. And perspective into what those committees look for in terms of funding proposals, how we can better tailor our proposals to kind of adhere to those internal requirements to better our chances of getting funding, which, as we all know, is very, very important for the organizations that we work with. And additionally, I had a rare opportunity to also provide mentoring on Darwin proposal writing to members of my cohort because, as I said, I received a Darwin grant previously. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there is so much that is at play in this fellowship. And as Emily mentioned, they really take into account needs. That's the USP of this fellowship, that it's a very individual tailored kind of fellowship, and all of those individual needs, all of like the specific issues or problems or challenges that you might face at your workplace are taken into account and dealt with in a systematic manner. But also, as I mentioned, this has additionally translated into providing like us as alums from the previous cohort providing feedback, and that feedback was taken into account. And so this fellowship structure that you guys are going to be part of is different from what we experienced because that feedback was taken on board and incorporated into the design of this fellowship process. But yeah, just to summarize, I think some of the key takeaways from this fellowship for me is that there's been a lot of continued support beyond the lifetime of the fellowship, and it's so great. I'm so grateful that we have this relationship with Emily, with Susanna, and with everybody else, that we can always reach out to them, even though the fellowship is officially finished. We can reach out to them for support with various issues that we have. I've come away with a very strong with a confidence in writing Darwin proposals. And like I said, I had the rare opportunity to mentor my peers. I've also come away with lifelong friendships, I think, and it's very critical perspectives from conservation leaders from the Global South, which I don't find very often in my work. A lot of times we're exposed to Western mores of actually like a space where we had the opportunity to interact with conservation leaders from the Global South, brought to the fore a lot of very fresh perspectives and very critical perspectives that in the long run are going to help all of us to better affect conservation in the places that we live in and work in. There was also the opportunity as part of my cohort to attend and present at an international congress, the ISE Congress, which happened in Morocco, and it was very, very, very beneficial because it also built my confidence in actually being on a panel and talking about the work, the research that I was doing in my location. And then something that I want to say before I finish is that you really have to. I mean, the fellowship is structured, and they're going to, like, everybody involved in the fellowship is going to, do their utmost to provide you the maximum possible exposure and learning. But it really depends at the end of the day on you and what you want to make of the fellowship. And you can, you can give feedback, you can kind of build on your own skills and offer to do things which are not necessarily outlined in the fellowship. So, for example, I'm an artist, and I had the great pleasure and privilege of illustrating a magazine that was produced during the course of the fellowship, which is called Our Land, Our Stories: Voices from the Edges. And I designed the cover art for that. And it's things like this where you kind of explore the interstitial aspects of the fellowship, and you're like, hey, well, this is what I can bring to the table. It's a two-way process because you're getting learning from it, but you're also able to give to the fellow at the end of the day. And I think I will leave it at that. And again, thank you so much for having me here, and it's been a great pleasure and privilege to be part of this fellowship.
Thank you so much, Aseem. That was great. I'm going to have to re-listen to that because I'm like, oh, evaluation notes. That was really good. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Aseem has said it right. It's a two-way process. The more you invest in the fellowship, the more you'll get out of it, because we are here to help you get everything you can out of it. But if you are just a passenger, a sort of passive sort of observer of the fellowship, you probably won't get a huge amount out of it. So this is the kind of thing that we're looking for in our applications, is people who are definitely up for engaging in that two-way relationship, because we also aren't just passive deliverers of things. We are absolutely listening and transforming the process as we go to ensure that it's responding to the needs of the fellows. It's over to Rosie. Rosebell, do you want to tell us a little bit about your experience in the CCF, the first edition?
Yes, thank you, Emily. And I am really happy to be able to share my experience and what brought me to be a part of this fellowship program. When I signed up for the CCF fellowship, initially, I was at a point in my life where I was very conflicted about what I wanted to do next. I was newly in a leadership position, and being in that leadership position just came with a lot of pressure that I hadn't anticipated. I didn't really have the support systems and structures in place. I was very overwhelmed with the amount of new responsibilities that I had. And then I was also just feeling very restless and uncomfortable. And, I felt like I was looking for something that I wanted to do more with my life. And so when I saw the advertisement for the CCF fellowship, I was really excited, because then I felt that, okay, this is going to be a place where I can learn something. There was the leadership component, which was very attractive to me. There was the provision for mentoring and coaching, which I felt I really, really needed. And I just needed the space to be able to get into the roots of something that I'm very passionate about, which is community conservation, and be able to meet and interact with people within that space. So I signed up for the CCF fellowship, and I was very, very happy. Emily doesn't know this, but the day I got the acceptance, I cried. I sat down and I cried for a few minutes, and I was like, okay, this is happening. Like, I've been accepted, because I really, really wanted to get in. And I felt like, for some reason, I felt like this was the beginning of a significant change in my life, and it has been. It has played a very big role. One of the things is, I think to date, I've never been part of a group of such diverse people from the Global South. We had people all the way from Chile to Samoa, and I was amazed. I've never been in a room with people who have so much diversity, people from such different backgrounds, doing amazing things across the world. And you get to meet with them, you get to talk to them, you get to understand the work that they're doing, and you get to share your experiences in terms of how you're implementing community conservation, what are the challenges that you face on the ground. You get to network, you get to get so many opportunities. With the Common Purpose, we had a really good space to really delve into leadership. We got a lot of different speakers from all over the world coming to talk to us about leadership components. We got to learn a lot about coaching and the significance that it plays. With mentoring, I learned a lot specifically just about tapping into emotional intelligence, and being able to have like good listening capacity to other people, just really practicing what good listening is as a leader for them. And then just developing that relationship, because there's a lot of peer coaching and peer mentoring that happens across the board. And that really helps you to form the bonds that you need to have with other people who are participating in the fellowship program. So that became something so special. And when we finally had our in-person session, happened a lot later. I think for this time it will happen much earlier in the program, but for us it happened a lot later. So when we're all coming to meet, it felt like, you know, this big anticipation of, oh, who are these people I've been talking to online for all this time? And then just coming together and having that ability to talk and to exchange information. We really got to understand a lot of the community work that happens in different organizations and in different countries. When we had our in-person retreat, we met in Morocco. So we got to understand the work that GDF is doing in Morocco. We got to meet with the communities there, really understand the work that they're doing. And we just managed to interact and talk so much. Yeah, and it was a great journey that has been phenomenal for me. I've gotten to share my story on different platforms. We did a publication with the GDF for Voices from the Edges, and that was a powerful publication. It's available on their website, I believe. So if you're able to go to their website, you can check it out. You'll see all the past fellows and, you know, our stories that we managed to share there. That was really, really a great experience to be able to have. We've covered podcasts, we got opportunities to learn how to speak in public, and a lot of the skills that I picked up from this season of my life have really helped me as I've moved on from where I was previously. I worked for a community-based organization in Kenya, and since then I've transitioned. As I mentioned at the start of this, I'm now currently a student, and I've also managed to establish my own organization. And again, through the amazing support of GDF, they really are able to connect you to funders, to people who believe in what you're doing, and really support your dreams. And I can say that my organization has started solely through the support of GDF, which I'm eternally grateful for. And we continue to collaborate and work together. As Emily says, and even as Yusuf mentioned, this is not a fellowship program that you come into and you just disappear from the cracks. You actually join a community and you really tap into something that's very powerful. We continue to talk to each other across countries. We continue to make arrangements and plans of how we can connect, speaking engagements, opportunities to just, you know, present the work that you're doing and collaborate across different things. That continues to be something that you can explore and that you can benefit from. And I would encourage you all, as you're, you know, applying for this fellowship program, really just to pour your heart and soul into it, and also just take time to really reflect on why you want to be part of this fellowship program and what you're looking for, and really make sure that that comes out very clearly in your application process, because when you do get through, it's an amazing community to be a part of, and I can assure you that this is something that you will not regret. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but if you have any pressing questions or if you need to ask me anything else, I'm happy to have further discussions on the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosebell. Thank you so much. So wonderful to hear. To hear it all again. Yusuf, can you whiz us through the fellowship timeline, please?
Yes, Meryl, can you please share the timeline? So, as you might have guessed, the first thing would be the fellowship kickoff, which will take place on November the 11th. It's a chance for all the selected fellows and the organizing team to get to meet each other for the first time, and then share more insight on the program and what to come next. Following that is the in-person gathering in Kenya. It's a 4-day gathering, allowing us to have that face-to-face interaction. We also will have a number of stream sessions during that period. But prior to that, after announcing the selected fellows, we will be coordinating with the with them in August and September in order to sort out everything related to their travel. That is visa, flights, flight tickets, and everything else. In December, the leadership stream led by Common Purpose and the mentoring stream led by the Human Edge will start. And then in January, the capacity building stream and the conservation and community stream will start. The streams are ongoing and complementary. And as you can see in the fellowship program, which I'm sharing the link to in the chat, the streams are interconnected. I think, can we move to the next slide? Like that starts with February. So then in February, March, and April, the streams will continue until we reach May, when the graduation ceremony will take place on on the 7th of May. But that's not the end. The program includes, as Emily mentioned, a 6-month post-fellowship component, which I'll dive deep into in a bit. But just so you know, everyone who joins the CCF automatically becomes a member of GGF's Global Environments Network, which is a collective leadership network composed of 700 alumni and resource people. That includes outstanding academics, activists, artists, conservationists, and professionals who represent an extraordinary diversity and background of experience. Once the fellowship is completed, you become part of the CCF alumni and therefore can join partner networks and benefit from their offering. During the fellowship, ongoing individual and tailored mentoring sessions are organized and are extended to the post-fellowship period. So now let's dive deep into the post-fellowship offering. So that would be the next slide. So the post-fellowship offerings start in June of 2026 after the graduation, and it consists of three main components. The collective publication, which Asim mentioned, is a cohort publication produced to showcase showcase participation fellows contributions. A learning session on the public storytelling and crafting your narratives is organized prior to that to help you shape the stories that you want to share in this publication. Last year, the published cohort was entitled Our Land, Our Story, Voices from the Edge. And it is a beautifully curated publication with stories from 20 fellows. We will share the link to it in the chat. The second component is organizing and hosting master's internships for UK students. And this is basically what GGF does in this component, is that we fund a number of graduate internships within fellows organizations. These are mainly research-oriented placement to support fellows' organizational growth and give students like real-world insights into the challenges that the fellows experience in the grassroots at the grassroots level. Then there is the alumni program. This program basically extends the support offered during the CCF and is under the umbrella of the Conservation Justice Program. Now, I think we will move to the section where we'll be answering some of the questions we have with the next slide in the part where I will be explaining the participant selection process. So it's mainly so the deadline to apply is by exactly midnight on June 13th. And just so you know, there won't be an extension. So please, if you are planning to apply, do that before the deadline. We may hold interviews with some of the shortlisted candidates in July, but this is not guaranteed. So please do not contact us for interviews. We will be contacting you. The selected participants will be announced on August 10th, and the program will start in November the 11th with the kickoff meeting. So, who are we looking for? We are, as Emily mentioned in the beginning of the call, we are looking for Global South conservationists, leaders, and change makers who work with the grassroots, who work with grassroots and local civil society organizations, and directly with communities at the intersection of conservation and livelihoods. We're looking for participants who speak English well enough to engage in peer mentoring and collective fellowship activities, who can genuinely commit to the full program, that is the in-person portion and the online portion, and participants who can tell their stories authentically and honestly articulate their needs and challenges, because this will be the deciding factor and that the selection committee will base their selection of the fellows on. This kind of sums it up. We will now move to the section on tips for a good application with Richard.
Thanks, Yusuf. Well, it's to reinforce some of the messages that we've already heard. So obviously, when you're doing your application, of course, we want to hear about you and your organisation, and we're more interested in you than, let's say, a whole list of qualifications on your CV. We want to know about you, your story, your motivations. So make it personal. Make it, bring you. Remember we said the whole 360 degrees. Bring you. Be honest. Talk about your challenges and your pains and your dreams. Okay, because we want to, as you keep hearing, we want to support you as an individual within this community approach. It says here, your application will benefit from honesty. Okay, and with that, please don't use AI. If you do, we'll notice it, and that will probably just have you discarded straight away. So do, things to check with yourself. Do be honest about your commitment. It's like, well, yeah, I can do all of those sessions apart from that one and that one. Oh, and maybe that one. And please be also gracious about it. If this isn't the right timing for you, then don't take up a place that someone else could be having. But it's also so you get that full participatory experience. When it's online, please be in a quiet place with the best tech you've got for the online sessions. Again, it's still participating. When you're not just going to be listening, you're going to be actively getting involved with the online stuff. So we need you to be there where you can be present and pay attention. I encourage people to have clear boundaries. Tell your family, tell your colleagues that you're not available when you're committed to this program. Okay, if you need to convince them, say that they will also benefit by leaving you alone to really get involved. And yeah, if you can make the commitment and you are selected, and stuff from life gets in the way, please just let us know. Please communicate with us, because it really affects how we manage you and the group and the course. Okay, the program. So yeah, don't overcommit and put pressure on yourself when you're already under pressure. Don't squeeze this in. You need space for it. Yeah, I don't know if Asim can vouch for that, and Emily when she did our previous program, but you need to be able to breathe and integrate what you're learning. Okay, don't say you can when you can't, and don't stay quiet if you're struggling to commit. Okay, ultimately, come be yourself, be human, let us know who you are, and fingers crossed. Thank you very much.